Why ignoring and avoidance mixed signals changes the game. Most people think avoidants want you to decode their mixed signals. After all, they're the ones who text you at midnight, then disappear for days, who act intimate one moment and distant the next, who say they care but never follow through, and who keep you guessing with their hot and cold behavior. But here's the twist. When you stop trying to interpret their confusing messages and simply ignore them altogether, it doesn't give them the satisfaction you might imagine. In fact, it can trigger something they never saw coming. Avoidants are used to being the ones in control of emotional uncertainty. They send mixed signals, expecting you to analyze every word, every pause, every emoji. When you don't, it completely shifts the power dynamic in ways they didn't prepare for. The mixed signals they use as a safety net begins to feel like a trap they set for themselves. And avoidants are not used to being caught in their own web. At first, they might feel validated. Yes, validated. The moment you stop responding to their breadcrumbs, they think you're just taking time to process. They assume you're sitting there trying to figure out what they really meant when they said, "We should hang out sometime," without ever making actual plans. In the early stage of your indifference, they may even feel powerful, like they've successfully kept you interested while maintaining their distance. But here's the hidden part. They also expect you to eventually crack and ask for clarity. In their mind, they believe you'll be the one to bring up the "what are we" conversation. Your initial silence feeds their belief that they're mysterious and complex. They feel in control. They think they've mastered the art of keeping someone hooked without commitment. But that's only the beginning. As your indifference stretches past their mental timeline, something subtle changes. Avoidants live in a world where they control the narrative through confusion. But when you don't ask what their late-night thinking of you text meant, when you don't try to decode why they like your photo from 3 months ago, they lose that control. They may not admit it, but avoidants count on your emotional investment in solving their puzzle. They like knowing you're trying to understand them, waiting for the next clue. When that expectation breaks, when your indifference keeps going, their confidence in the game begins to crack. At first, they try to rationalize it. They tell themselves you're playing hard to get. You're testing them. You're probably just busy with work. But with each mixed signal they send that goes unacknowledged, the certainty that you're still invested fades. Then comes the first flicker of confusion. It's small at first, barely noticeable in their behavior. They might think, "Did they not get my hint?" Avoidants rarely see themselves as the ones being ignored. They've built their communication style around the belief that people will always try to understand them, no matter how unclear they are. But now, with no response from you, the ground under that belief begins to shift. That's when they start escalating the mixed signals, sending clearer hints while still maintaining plausible deniability. Maybe they'll share a song that reminded them of you, post a story from a place you used to go together, or send a more direct "missed talking to you," followed immediately by something casual to dilute it. They won't come out and say exactly what they want, but those escalated breadcrumbs are the avoidant version of waving a bigger flag. When your indifference remains steady, it does something most people never manage to do. It makes the avoidant question their own communication style. Avoidants are experts at keeping people at arm's length while still keeping them interested. They learned early in life that being too clear about feelings makes you vulnerable. So they speak in riddles and expect others to be fluent in their language of confusion. But your prolonged indifference forces them to see how exhausting their own game really is. They may start to feel frustration they can't quite place. The irony is they want to keep things ambiguous, but now that their ambiguity is being ignored, they realize how much they depended on your attempts to understand them. This is also when the overthinking starts. Not just casual wondering, but deep analysis of your behavior. They may tell themselves you've lost interest, that you found someone who communicates clearly, or that you've simply grown tired of their games. These scenarios terrify them more than they'd ever admit because they reveal a truth they've been avoiding. Their mixed signals might actually push away the very people they want to keep close. If they admit that your indifference is simply you refusing to play their game anymore, they have to confront the possibility that their communication style is a problem. And that's a hard truth for someone who's used to believing everyone else is too needy or demanding. The longer you remain indifferent to their mixed signals, the more their inner dialogue spirals. Avoidants use mixed signals to test how much someone really cares. In their mind, if you keep trying to understand them despite confusion, it proves you really care. But when you stop trying to decode their signals, those tests backfire. Maybe they don't actually want me. Maybe I'm not as interesting as I thought. Your indifference doesn't just ignore their messages. It ignores the entire game they've been playing. Avoidants maintain emotional control through confusion. If they keep you guessing, they never have to be vulnerable. Some may respond to your indifference with even more confusing behavior, while others may quietly panic and start sending clearer messages disguised as casual check-ins. But your indifference has already exposed something they work hard to hide. They actually do care what you think. Eventually, something deeper happens. They realize mixed signals only work if someone is willing to decode them. When you match their ambiguity with complete disinterest, they're forced to feel what it's like to be on the receiving end of confusion. For some avoidants, this becomes a wake-up call. By now, your indifference isn't just a response. It's a boundary. It says, I won't spend my energy trying to understand someone who won't communicate clearly. This triggers both respect and panic in an avoidant. When they feel this shift, some will attempt to communicate more clearly, though it might still come wrapped in ambiguity. Others might finally abandon the mixed signals altogether. The fascinating thing is that your indifference revealed how dependent they were on your willingness to decode their messages. It exposed how much of their emotional safety relied on keeping others confused. When an avoidant feels the weight of your indifference, it's because they've finally experienced what it's like when their mixed signals lead nowhere instead of keeping someone hooked. And remember, true wisdom isn't about decoding someone else's mixed signals. It's about being clear with your own intentions and boundaries. If you found value in this insight, give this video a like, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Paradox of Being for more deep truths about love, life, and the human mind. Until next time, stay wise.